Hi everybody, my name is Kira. I'm a yoga instructor here at the JCC as well as a personal trainer. Today I'm going to be leading you through a slow flow yoga class. This is a great class for beginners because we're going to be breaking things down, going at a little bit slower pace. This is also a great class for seasoned practitioners, an opportunity to really get into the postures, work your alignment, and then hold your breath in poses and really build some heat. So we'll do about a 45-minute class together today. And before we get started, make sure that you spread out, that you have enough room in your house or wherever you're doing this video to move without knocking into anything. If you have a yoga mat, you can lay it down. You can grab blocks or you can grab a bath towel and fold it up, and you can use that in lieu of blocks. You can also use heavy canned goods for blocks, and you can use Tupperware for blocks as well. So you can gather those things. Make sure as we're moving through our practice today that you are listening to your body. Any time that you might feel some pain, please back out. While we will challenge ourselves when that's appropriate, know that yoga shouldn't be painful. So if you have any pain, please back off. Make sure you check with the doctor before beginning any exercise program. And with that, let's get started. So to begin, we'll start with a brief meditation practice. You can come to a comfortable seated position, whatever that means for you. I like to sit up on a block so that my hips are above my knees. That just creates a little more space through the hips and allows for some relaxation. So you can begin to soften the gaze, close the eyes if that's comfortable for you. Maybe take a few rounds of deep breath. Feeling your sitting bones really solidly connecting to whatever it is that you might be sitting on. Let the pelvis get really heavy, let the legs get really heavy. Feeling all of this strength and stability in the lower body. In the next few rounds of breath, let the breath initiate from the space of the deep low belly, the space about 3 fingers below the navel. Sometimes it can be helpful to bring a hand to the belly and then let the belly gently rise and fall as you inhale and exhale, maybe the hand moving. Feeling the breath move the body. As you root down into your sitting bones, let the crown of your head reach towards the ceiling, like a balloon floating up towards the sky, floating on top of the spinal column. Imagine that your breath is sending all of these air bubbles of space between each of the bones of your back, growing a little bit taller as you inhale, and keeping some of that length as you exhale. Literally using the breath to create space in the body. Space is a conduit for prana. Prana being energy, life force. And we can begin to use the breath as a tool to create space in the body. To experience the prana that flows through it. We'll also use our shapes, the yoga postures, to create space and move prana through the body. Take a few more rounds of breath to connect to yourself, connect to your body. If you would like to set an intention for the class, please go ahead and do so now. whether it be self-compassion, humility, gratitude, anything else that your heart might call out to you in this moment. Just setting some time to devote to yourself, your time on the mat today. As we move through our postures today, know that there will be opportunities to challenge yourself, and then maybe moments to be a little bit more compassionate with yourself when that will serve you best. The potency of the practice reveals itself to us when we make it our own. So I invite you to make this practice your own. I merely offer suggestions along the way. Tune into what your body needs, what your mind needs, perhaps what the soul needs. Turn the biceps out, palms up, inhaling, sweep the arms out and overhead, palms meet together at the top. Exhaling, draw your thumb knuckles to your sternum, hands meet at heart center in Anjanae mudra. Pressing palm into palm, thumb knuckles into sternum, feeling the connection of the palms to the base of the heart. Sealing your intention between the palms. Gently bowing the head down towards the hands. Hands can release to the sides. Gently lift the face, begin to blink the eyes open, come back into your space. Ready to start our movement practice. So we'll stay in this seated position if you'd like to change the crossing of your legs or maybe come to a more comfortable seated position after we've been here for a while. Do so now. Sitting the spine nice and tall, rooting down through the sitting bones, reaching the crown of the head towards the ceiling. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. As you exhale, turn from the deep low belly to the right. Left hand comes to the right knee. Right hand comes behind. Taking a nice gentle twist. Not trying to twist too hard first thing in practice. Inhale and come back up towards center. We'll switch to the second side, turning from the deep low belly towards the left. Right hand comes to the left knee. Left hand can come behind. Breathing some space into the abdomen. Inhale, come back towards center. We'll move through both sides again, maybe moving a little bit faster, maybe twisting a little bit further. Inhale, come back towards center, head on over to the second side one more time. Inhale, come back towards center. Release the right hand down to the ground, and then create all this length from the left hip point to the left armpit. Reach your left rib straight up towards the ceiling and start to take a side bend over towards the right. Really root down through that left sitting bone, so you're creating all of this space from left hip point to left armpit. Keep pulling your shoulder blade onto the back, ribs get long. Inhale, come up through center. Drop the left arm down to the side. Lengthen from hip point to armpit. Think ribs towards the ceiling. Lengthen, take a side bend over to the left. Breathing into the space of the right side body. Good. Inhale, come back towards center. And then bring your arms out like a capital letter T. Left arm will sweep under right, grab onto opposite shoulders. Bring your elbows in line with the shoulders and keep drawing the shoulder blades onto the back ribs. So you're creating space between your ears and the tops of your shoulders. We'll take a few pelvic tilts here. So if you're familiar with your yoga practice, this is like a seated cat-cow. Tipping the pelvis forward as the belly spills forward, and then tipping the pelvis towards the back. Curl and round through the upper back. Move your shoulder blades away from each other. Take a few more rounds. Moving with your breath, starting to articulate through the spine. Next time you inhale, peel forward, come to a neutral spine, arms out wide like a capital letter T. We'll move to the second side, right arm under, left arm over, grabbing opposite shoulders. Pull the shoulder blades onto the back ribs, elbows in line with the shoulders, and take your cat-cow tilts here. Good. Allowing the movement to initiate at the pelvis. Starting to breathe some space, some life into the spine, breathing some space between the shoulder blades. Good. Inhale, come back to your neutral position. Rolling over the knees, move your props out of the way. Come to a tabletop position, hands spread wide, fingers under the shoulders, palms under the shoulders, knees under the hips. You can tuck the toes under, or you can press the tops of the feet into the floor, yogi's choice. Move through a few traditional rounds of your cat-cow. So moving from the pelvis, tip the pelvis forward, drop the belly, pull the sternum between the arm bones, softly look up, cow pose. Exhaling, curl and round, push the floor away from you, press the top of your t-shirt towards the ceiling, chin is chucked, cat pose. Trying to initiate the movement from the pelvis, and then like a ripple in a pool, let your spine undulate. Moving with your breath, maybe exploring every shape along the way between these two forms, cat and cow, maybe moving a little bit faster, exploring the breath, trying to use the entire breath as you move. Take another round. Good. On your next inhale, come back towards a neutral tabletop position. So really pressing the floor away, fingers are spread really wide, reaching the crown of the head towards the front of the room, your tailbone towards the back of the room. Drawing in the deep low belly so that the back stays really flat. Tuck the toes under, press the floor away from you, lift the hips up and back, come into your downward facing dog. The knees can bend here. So the goal is to have a really nice long spine in down dog. So if the knees need to bend to help facilitate that, please do so. The hands can come a little bit wider than the shoulders and really root down through your fingertips. Spread the palms really wide. Hollow out the armpits and try to create length from armpit to hip point, just like we were in that side bend. Take a few rounds of breath here. Maybe pedaling out the feet, trying to feel into the hamstrings today. You can shift the hips back and forth, taking any other movements that might feel good. And then settle into 3 rounds of breath in down dog. Trying to even out the breath. Take a slow walk up to the top of the mat, coming to forward fold. Feet underneath the hips. Firmly pressing into all of the of the toe mounds. So the ball mounds of the feet, the heel dots. You can grab opposite elbows, let the weight of your upper body cascade over your pelvis. Might feel good to ragdoll here. Shake your head to yes. Release the muscles of your neck. Shake your head no. Release the muscles of your jaw. Release the creases in the forehead. Bring your hands onto your hips. Hit down through your feet. Squeeze your upper inner thighs together and inhale. Come all the way up to standing. We'll find Tadasana mountain pose at the top of the mat. So in Tadasana, the feet are directly underneath the hips. You can shift the weight back and forth until you find that perfect balance point between the toes, between the ball mounds, and between the heels. Gently squeeze your upper inner thighs together as if you're squeezing a yoga block. And this will let the tailbone tuck. Draw the front of your pubic bone towards your navel. Low ribs knit in so that they stack directly over the hips, shoulders over ribs. Turn the biceps out, palms face forward. Notice how that pulls your shoulder blades onto the back ribs. Tuck your chin, the back of the neck is long. And then feel how every joint stacked one on top of the other creates this channel for the breath to move freely, for energy to move freely. So we're after finding the essence of this shape, Tadasana mountain pose, in every single pose as we move through our practice today. Finding that place where everything balances perfectly on top of each other and the effort and the ease meld into each other and become one. Inhaling, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Come through a flat back, reaching the crown of the head, long tailbone behind you. Fold a little bit deeper this time. Hands can plant, step back, find plank pose, top of a push-up. We'll take a few rounds of breath in plank to build a little bit of heat today. So really squeeze through your lower abdominals to keep the hips in line with the shoulders. It's like you're squeezing that yoga block between your thighs. And then reach out through your heels like you're standing on the wall behind you. Lengthen from the heels to the crown of your head. Keep pressing the floor away from you. Get stronger. Your muscles start to shake. That just means they're getting stronger. Take another round of breath. On the next exhale, knees can lower. And then keeping your bum perky, chin and chest will come between your hands. Inhale, peel forward, slide onto your belly. Press your hip points into the mat, press the tops of your feet into the mat. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Without moving the hands, scrub the hands back so that the sternum comes forward, come into low cobra. Taking a subtle back bend. Lower down. Tuck the toes. Press your hips back to child's pose. Taking a really active child's pose here. So reaching the fingertips long in front of you, spreading the palms wide, pressing into the palms so that the forearms come off of the mat. Hollowing out the armpits, lengthen from your armpit to your hip points. Use that pressing into the floor so that the hips become a little bit heavier and move more towards your heels. Tuck the toes under, press the floor away from you, lift the hips high, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward between the hands. You can always come onto blocks here to lift the ground a little bit higher. Drop your back knee, untuck the toes. Come up, bringing your hands onto the right thigh. Hit down into your right heel, and without moving the right heel, energetically drag it back. You might notice that you come upright just a little bit. Keep that lift through the pelvis, and then dragging the left leg forward like you're trying to scissors your legs together. That brings your hips more forward. And from this position, start to shift the hips forward. Coming into Anjanae Asana, low lunge. Feeling a nice opening through the left hip flexor. The heel of the right foot stays planted the whole time. Take a few rounds of breath here. Tuck your left toes under. The left heel becomes a target for your hips. From your hips, glide back, send your hips towards your heel. The right leg will straighten. Move with your breath. Inhaling, coming forward to your lunging position. As you exhale, imagine curling and rounding through the upper back like your cat pose. Inhale, pull forward, think cow. Exhale, curl and round, send the hips towards the heel. Let's take this one more time. Next time you pull forward into your lunging position, pause. Hands can plant. Press through the heel of your left foot so much that the left leg picks up off of the ground. Think straight line from the crown of your head to the left heel. Then step the left foot a little bit wider so that both legs are in their own lane of traffic. Spiral the left heel down to a 45-degree angle. Inhale, rise all the way up, moving towards warrior one. So in your warrior one, the hips are more forward than sideways. So trying to pull the right hip back, press the left hip forward. That might cause the back knee to bend a little bit. Use that bend and re-tuck your pelvis under. Then press through the pinky side edge of your back foot to get really stable and steady. Palms can come to heart center, or bringing the hands overhead. Keep connecting into the back foot, the pinky side edge of the back foot. Right knee stacks over right ankle. Work your pose for 3 rounds of breath. On your next exhale, slice open to warrior 2. The back foot can step back for a little bit wider stance, grounding into the pinky side edge of the back foot still. So the back leg gets really steady, stable. Think of it as your anchor leg. Working the inner knees away from each other. Work the inner right knee towards the upper right-hand corner of your mat. And then pulling through the left side body so that the ribs stack over hips, shoulders over ribs. Arms come out like a capital letter T, gaze over your right fingertips. Keep everything in the lower body the same. Flip the right palm towards the ceiling. Inhale, sweep back, reach back, taking a side bend through the right side body. Dancing warrior. Come back through your warrior 2, and then move with your breath into this reverse warrior 2 position. Breathing a lot of space into the right side body as you move. Take 1 more round. Come back to warrior 2, pause. Reach from your right ribs, reach forward. Keep reaching forward until you can't come forward anymore. You have all this space in the right side body. Then bring the right elbow to the right knee. Left hand comes to left hip. Keep tucking the right hip under. So you're trying to stack the left hip on top of the right. Press out through the pinky side edge of your left foot. Arm comes straight up towards the ceiling, or start to flank it, bringing the bicep in line with the ear. Straight line of energy from the left fingertips to the left toes. This is extended side angle, Utthita Parsvottanasana. Take another round of breath. Pressing into the back foot. Inhale, pull yourself back to warrior 2. Straighten the front leg. Turn both toes to the long edge of your sticky mat. Toes will turn in, heels slightly out. Pressing through the outer edge of both feet. Bring your hands onto your hips. Take a soft bend in the knees to avoid hyperextending the knees. And then hinge from your hip points. Think butt back, hinging over the hips. Come into a wide-legged forward fold. The hands can come underneath the shoulders, or if you want to fold a little bit deeper, just depending on how your hamstrings are feeling today. Taking a few rounds of breath here. Inhale, half lift. Come through a flat back. And then start to pivot over towards the left foot, coming into a low lunge with the left foot forward, right foot back. Plant the right knee, untuck the toes. Inhale, come up to your low lunging position. Moving towards Anjanae, low lunge. Hit down through the left heel, energetically drag the left heel back so much that you pick yourself up a little bit. Feel all this stability in the pelvis. Pulling left hip back, sending right hip forward. And from that buoyancy in the pelvis, start to shift the hips forward. Opening up a little bit more into the right hip flexor now. Using your breath to create space. Take another round. Then tuck the back toes under. The heel becomes a target for the hips. Move from the hips, glide back, and And as you glide the hips back, the left leg will straighten. Move with your breath, coming between your low lunging position and your half split. If you have blocks, the blocks can come along for the ride, just giving you a little bit more space here. Let's take one more round. And then the next time you come forward into your low lunge, pause. Tuck the back toes under, press through the heels so much that the leg lifts. Create one straight line of energy from your back heel to the crown of your head. Lengthen. And then we'll step the right foot out a little bit wider. Drop the back heel to a 45-degree angle. Inhale, come all the way up, working towards warrior one. So again, we want the hips to be more forward than sideways here. So pulling the left hip back, reaching the right hip forward. This might cause the back leg to bend. Use that space to tuck your tailbone under and then reconnect into the pinky side edge of your back foot. Maybe bending a little bit deeper into the left foot. Keep pulling left hip back, right hip forward. Palms can come to prayer in heart center or reaching the arms long overhead. Keep coming back to your alignment. Seeing if you can find the essence of mountain pose in warrior one. Take another expansive round of breath. And on an exhale, slice open warrior two, stepping the back foot back a little bit to lengthen your stance, pressing into the pinky side edge of the back foot, starting to bend into the front knee just a little bit more, working the hips away from each other, working the inner knees away from each other, pressing through the right side of the body now to pull the right ribs over the right hips, shoulders stack over ribs, look over the left palm. Flip your left hand towards the ceiling, lower body stays the same. Inhale, reach back towards the back of the room, lengthening from the right, or the left side body rather. And then we'll work this with your breath, this warrior two to reverse warrior, dancing warrior variation, creating lots of length through the left side body. Good. And then come back through warrior two. Get steady and stable in your warrior two. Reach your left ribs forward. And when they can't come forward anymore, then the left hand can come onto the thigh, maybe onto a block. Right hand to the right hip. Pull your left butt under you, like you're stacking your right hip on top of left. So you're trying to make yourself as tiny as possible, like you're between two panes of glass. Rolling your pelvic bone and your sternum towards the right side of the room. Lengthen from the pinky side edge to the fingertips. Get long through the right side body. Keep spiraling your heart open towards the right. Take another round of expansive breath in your extended side angle pose. Press into the back foot so much that you come all the way up to your warrior one once again. Inhaling, straighten through the front leg. Toes can come to the long edge of your sticky mat. This time, heels will turn in, toes slightly out. And then start to bend into the knees, trying to keep the knees stacked over the big toe and the second toe. You can bring the hands onto hips, maybe wiggling the hips side to side. Might feel good. Trying to keep the tailbone tucked under and keeping the ribs over the hips as much as possible here. So shift and shimmy a little bit, and then we'll hold for a few rounds of breath. Maybe release the knees, take hands to heart center. This is goddess pose. Really grounding down through the heels. And then let's try this. Press into the toes. Lift the heels off of the mat. And then slowly release. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Take a few rounds of breath here. Heel toe the feet in, back, together. And then let's take a big step up to the top of the mat. Come back to Tadasana mountain pose. Let's flush all that work out. We'll do one sun salutation A. Don't worry if you don't know it, I'll cue it. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Hinge at the hips, fold forward. Taking a soft bend in the knee. Half lift, present your heart, come through a flat back. Fold a little bit deeper. Plant the hands. Step back to plank pose. Build a little bit of heat for one round of breath. Lower onto the knees. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Elbows go straight back. Slowly lower down so that the hips and the heart arrive at the same time. Reach the legs long behind you as you arrive. Peel the heart forward and now come in a little bit higher into your cobra pose, keeping the shoulders pulled away from the ears. Chin is tucked. Lower down to the mat. Tuck the toes under. Press the hips back to child's pose. Take a few rounds of breath in child's. Press into the palms so much that the forearms come off of the mat. Tuck the toes under. Press the floor away from you, hips high. Downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg long behind you. Come through three-legged dog. Reaching through the right heel. And squeeze through your right glute to lift the leg a little bit higher. On an exhale, curl and round step the right foot through between the hands. Really press out through the back heel. Lengthen from heel to the crown of the head. Squeeze your legs together. Get buoyant through the hips. And inhale, come all the way up to high lunge, crescent lunge. Really reaching out through the heels so the back leg is really active. Tucking the tailbone under, drawing the low ribs in, shoulders over hips and ribs. On an exhale, hinge at the hips, come forward, arms go back, airplane crescent, also known as warrior 3 prep. Let's do this with breath 3 times, and then option to flow into warrior 3 or hold your prep pose. So this time, 3rd time's a charm, either holding your warrior 3 prep or start to launch into the front leg. Squeeze your left glute to lift your left leg, come through warrior 3. Trying to keep the hip points level. Reaching from the crown of your head to the left lifted heel. Take another round of breath. On an exhale, the hands can plant, step back into your low lunge position. Step the left hand out to the side, wider than the sticky mat. Sweep the right arm up, come into a low lunge twist. Keeping your hips high here. Plant the right hand, plant both palms, step back to downward facing dog. Take a few rounds of breath here. Lengthening through the spine in your downward facing dog. And we'll switch to the second side. Inhale the left leg long behind you, 3-legged dog, really reaching through the heel of your lifted leg and squeezing through the left glute to raise the leg a little bit higher. On an exhale, curl and round, step the left foot through, low lunge. Get really active through the back leg, pressing through the right heel. And then squeeze your legs together. Let the hips lift a little bit and rise on a crescent pose. Finding moments to laugh at yourself as you teeter, as we all do. Really get active through that heel. It's all about the back leg. Tuck the tailbone under. Reach through the back heel. Ribs over hips, shoulders over ribs, reach forward. We'll take our airplane lunge variation, warrior 3 prep. On an exhale, hinging from the hips, reach the arms back. One straight line from the crown of the head to the tailbone. We'll do this about 3 times, moving with your breath. And then on the third, either holding your warrior 3 prep or launching into the left foot, gliding the right foot back behind you. Really squeeze through the right glute to lift the leg. And then create lots of space through the left lower abdominal. Using the crown of the head reaching forward as a counterbalance. Take another round of breath here. Hands can plant, step back long to your lunging position. Right hand plants off of the mat wide. Reach the left fingertips towards the ceiling, take a twist. Keep your hips high here. That'll protect the low back. Left hand plants. Walk the right hand back in. Press the floor away from you. Come back downward facing dog. Peel forward to your plank pose. Take a round of breath in plank. And then make your way onto your belly, however you want to get there. Come to the belly. Reach the legs long behind you as you arrive, pressing the tops of your feet into the mat, pressing your hip points into the mat. Bring your palms outside of the hips, palms down. And then you can come to rest either on your chin or your forehead, whatever feels comfortable for you. We're going to work into Shalabhasana, Locust pose. On an inhale, squeeze your legs together like you have one leg. Squeeze your glutes and lift your legs long and up behind you. And then peel your sternum off of the mat. Look forward. Hands can come off of the mat or they can stay planted. Yogi's choice. Trying to work into this bow-shaped position, like the bottom of a rocking chair. And the breath will move you back and forth. Try to hold this position for 5 to 8 breaths. And then as you're ready to lower down, slowly lower with control, you can bring the hands underneath your forehead to rest. I'll just take a few moments to come out of that back bending position. And from here, make your way onto your backs. You can grab a block, have a block handy as you come down, a block or a blanket. And then we're gonna set up for a few rounds of bridge pose. So you'll come to your back, soles of the feet onto the mat, soles of the feet in as close to the body as possible, maybe reaching down and tickling the backs of your heels with your fingers. Feet are hips width distance apart. Reach your fingertips towards the ceiling and then draw your shoulder blades down onto the back ribs. Press your shoulder blades into the mat. Press the backs of your elbows into the mat. Hit down through your heels. Inhale, lift the hips up towards the ceiling, squeezing through the glutes, and then squeezing your upper inner thighs together as if you're squeezing a yoga block. Reach your knees towards the bottom of your mat, and then press into the shoulder blades and lift your sternum a little bit higher towards the ceiling and behind you. See if you can lift the hips as you do that. And work 5 to 8 breaths in your bridge pose. When you're ready to come down, slowly releasing vertebra by vertebra, come to stillness at the bottom, letting the spine realign, resisting the urge to wiggle around too much. We'll set up for another round of bridge, so as you're ready, pressing into the backs of the shoulders, hit down through your heels, inhale, lift the hips high. This time, if you like, you can start to interlace your hands beneath you, Walking from one shoulder to the next, roll your shoulders, the shoulder blades a little bit more around your spine, and then press the tops of your shoulders into the mat, press your forearms into the mat, and see if you can use that tractioning with the ground to lift your hips and heart a little bit higher. Keep reaching your knees towards the bottom edge of your mat, squeezing the upper inner thighs, squeeze the glutes, lift the hips a little bit higher. Letting the breath move freely through the body. Slowly release the hands and lower back down vertebra by vertebra, pausing in stillness at the bottom. Walk your feet out to the outer edges of the mat. Knees can come in together. Feeling that internal rotation in the outer hips, in the thighs. And then bring your knees back to a more neutral position. Drop the knees over to the right, windshield wipering the knees, and then come back through center, drop over to the left. Take this a few times, really exploring the end range motion of both the external rotation of the hip and the internal rotation of the hip. Next time the legs come over to the left, pause. You can stay here, or if it's comfortable, you can take the left heel to the right thigh and use the weight of your left foot to open up a little bit more through the right side of the body, if that feels good. For some of us, that's not so kind on the right knee, so just let that go. And just pause in the twist. We'll make our way over to the second side. Knees drop to the right. And explore if it feels okay to bring the right heel onto the left thigh now. And again, sometimes it just doesn't feel good on the knees, so just let that go. Inhale, come back towards center. Walk your feet back in so that they're underneath your hip points. And then draw the right knee into the chest, give it a little squeeze. Cross the right ankle over the left knee. Draw the right knee towards the bottom edge of your mat. So you're coming into this figure 4 position. And for some of us, this is enough. We can just stay here and we feel a lot through the outer hip. For some, we might want a little bit more. So we'll start to draw the left shin in close, or the left thigh rather, in close to the body. Maybe grabbing on behind the left thigh. Maybe reaching around to the top of the left shin. Wherever you are, flexing through the right foot so that the right foot stays really active. And you're actively drawing the right knee down towards the bottom edge of your mat. Keeping your spine really long, keep your sacrum on the mat this whole time. Taking a few rounds of breath. If you're holding onto your shin or thigh, release. Return the left foot to the mat. Stay here in your figure 4 position, and we're gonna drop everything over to the left, and maybe the sole of the right foot comes down onto the mat. It can also come onto a block or onto a blanket if you just need a little bit of extra space. So we're in this figure 4 twisted shape. Feeling this through the outer right hip. Letting both shoulders melt into the mat. The shoulders are the foundation for this pose. Everything else is twisting. Shoulders stay stable. Inhaling, come back through center. Uncross the right foot, hug the right knee into the chest again, and then lengthen the left leg long on the mat, pressing the heel of the left foot into the mat so that it's like you're standing tall, but in this supine position. Really active here. Release the effort, and then we'll come back to our bridge pose setup. So soles of the feet in close to the body. Hug the left knee into the chest first. Give it a nice little squeeze. Crossing left ankle over left knee. Coming to our figure 4 shape. So really working the left knee towards the bottom edge of the mat. Maybe stay here, or if you're ready for a little more, you can grab on behind the thigh, maybe grabbing onto the right shin, just wherever your body wants to be today. Keeping the left foot active, reaching the left knee towards the bottom edge of the mat, sacrum on the ground. Sending your breath into the outer left hip. Release the shin or thigh, right foot comes back to the ground. Keeping your figure 4 shape now, dropping everything over to the right. Sole of the left foot comes onto the ground. Shoulders stay on the mat this whole time. Inhaling, come back towards center. Release the left foot, hug the left knee into the chest. Right leg will straighten now. Getting really active through the right leg, so pressing the heel of the right foot into the mat. Get really long and tall. Bring both knees into the chest this time. Maybe take small circles with the knees, massaging out the low back. And then switch direction, go the opposite way. And then take any other movement that your body might be craving until we set up for our Shavasana today. So I'll lead you through a couple minutes of relaxation. Once you've gotten any other movements that your body might be craving, set yourself up well for Shavasana. Coming to a comfortable position, maybe realign the spine and the cervical spine, gently lifting the head, creating length through the back of the neck, and then setting the head back down, giving yourself a little head massage here. Let the legs turn out, the feet turn out, the legs get really heavy. Let the arms hang away from the body, creating lots of space. And just feeling into all of the points of connection that your body is making with the mat, with the ground. Letting the eyes close. And then let yourself just go. Release all of the muscular energy that you've expended so far today. Know that nothing else is needed of you for the next several moments. Take this time to observe, absorb, and integrate all of the benefits of your practice. many benefits of practicing at home is we can stay in Shavasana as long as we need to. So know that you can stay in this restful position. Or if you're ready to come out, you can start to draw a little bit more awareness into the body, deepening the breath, wiggling fingers and toes, taking other subtle movements as your body feels ready to move. Eventually making your way onto one side, coming into the fetal position. And finally up to a seated position, a comfortable seat. Ending as we began so that we may begin again. Sit yourself up well, spine tall. Turn the biceps out, palms up. Inhaling, sweep the arms out and up. Palms meet together overhead. As you exhale, draw your thumb knuckles to the sternum, hands to heart center and Anjanae mudra. Take a moment here to thank yourself, at least as much as I thank you, for so intentionally carving out this time to practice today, for the benefit of yourself, your body, for everyone and everything around you. To each of you I bow. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Please let me know if you have any requests for the next live video that we do. Invite a friend to join you in your yoga journey at home. And we will see you very, very soon. Take care, everybody.